What happened to Xiao Wang, the young man who in 2011 sold a kidney to buy an iPhone? The story of the young Xiao Wang, who shocked the world in 2011, is now suffering the consequences of a decision that, to this day, is hard to believe. As we will remember, Xiao Wang became world famous after it was learned that he had sold one of his kidneys to buy an iPhone and an iPad. In 2011, the 17-year-old did not measure the consequences of his actions. Wang's nightmare began when the iPhone 4 went on sale. Xiao Wang, only 17 years old, wanted with all his soul to have an iPhone 4, the phone that he was killing at the time. He wanted to be the most popular in school, and he wanted to show off his cell phone. The fate began when Wang was told that he could live with only one kidney, and then he thought that he could sell it. In Wang's words, "One kidney is enough for me. Why do I need the other one? Why don't I just sell it?" What the young Chinese never imagined was that his decision would have a permanent impact on his life, and about his family. As many already imagine, Wang did not think twice. He searched for places to dispose of his kidney, and fell into an illegal clandestine organ trafficking clinic. His desperation to have the fashionable phone led him to contact an illegal organ transplant network, which offered him about 22,000 yuan, which translated into $3,200. Plenty to buy your long-awaited iPhone 4. During that time, the teenager contacted 3 intermediaries from a Chinese platform, and coordinated a trip to the province of Anhui, where he underwent a clandestine operation, in a clinic that did not have the corresponding certification. The young man accepted, and the problem came later, since the clinic did not have adequate sanitary measures. Due to the operation, he suffered an infection in his remaining kidney. As a result of an infection he contracted at the clandestine clinic, where the organ was extracted. And that later led to renal failure, which would have been caused by the precarious conditions in which he was operated. The case came to light when his mother asked him where he had gotten the money to buy the gadgets. Despite the fact that he tried to hide the fact from his parents, his state of health ended up exposing him, for which he confessed to his mother that he had sold one of his kidneys. Quickly, the story reached the local media and went viral. Wang's kidney damage was so severe that when he arrived at the legal hospital where he was admitted, he was sentenced to death, since nothing could be done for him. They went bankrupt paying for Wang's dialysis and treatments. His parents, upon finding out what happened, reported the incident to the police. In April 2012, it was possible to find the 3 intermediaries and 2 doctors involved in the clandestine operation. 9 people were jailed, including doctors and members of the criminal organization, and sentenced to between 5 and 3 years in prison. Wang's family, for their part, received compensation of $200,000, which will never be enough to free him from the machine, to which he is doomed for the rest of his life. After a few months, the boy ended up connected to a dialysis machine, without which he could not stay alive. So serious was the condition of the Chinese that he required full-time assistance. Over the years, his condition became so serious that he has not been able to get out of bed, requiring daily dialysis to cleanse his blood of toxins. 9 years later, a Chinese publication reveals news about his state of health, predicting that the 25-year-old will remain in bed for the rest of his life. According to the same source, doctors have said that Wang could now probably use a transplant, although it would fetch about $300,000 on the black market, nearly 80 times what Wang got for his kidney. His life was no longer the same, and now he depends only on a dialysis machine. The events happened about 7 years ago, and the current 24-year-old Wang has been disconnected about 5 days ago, between December 25th and 26th. These 7 years have been torture for Wang, and also for his family, and the boy has lived the rest of his short life tied to dialysis, tests and treatments. These 7 years have been spent living in said hospital, until the day of his death. Although this practice occurs in many countries, the situation in China is especially worrying. China is the only country in the world in which there is a practice of organ trafficking on an industrial scale, which collects organs from executed prisoners of conscience. This practice is known as forced organ harvesting. Organ trafficking in China. The low supply of donor organs, coupled with the enormous demand for transplants, has fueled the global organ trafficking industry, which exploits poor, disadvantaged and persecuted members of society, as a source of organs to be bought by tourists rich in transplants. Executed prisoners of conscience. This practice is known as forced organ harvesting. Prisoners of conscience are those people who, without having used violence or advocated its use, are deprived of their liberty because of their beliefs, their ethnic origin, sex, color, or language. China uses imprisoned prisoners of conscience as a pool of organ donors to provide compatible transplants to patients. These prisoners or donors are executed, and their organs are harvested against their will and used in a prolific and profitable transplant industry. May this serve as a lesson for all of us about responsibility in the moderate relationship that we have to have with consumerism in the capitalist society in which we live. Because in the end they are material objects, and a person's life is worth much more than the sum of his assets. Let's think twice before committing similar crazy things. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to see more content. See you in the next chapter in What You Didn't Know.